Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a really fascinating, incredibly high-stakes dual story that's unfolding in the media landscape right now. On one side of the coin, you've got a major Danish media brand, BT, going head-to-head with a massive, highly sophisticated cyber threat that's actively targeting its readers. And on the flip side, this exact same legacy institution is going through a total, ground-up internal reinvention just to survive the modern digital era. It's this wild story about frantically defending your reputation on the outside while completely rebuilding your engine on the inside.
So let me ask you something. Could you spot a fake news article designed to steal your life savings? I want you to really think about it for a second. We aren't talking about those old, poorly worded emails from a mysterious prince anymore. No way. We're talking about near-perfect digital illusions designed to literally siphon your money by hijacking the faces and the brands you already trust. This is a real high-stakes threat, and it's exactly the kind of battle BT has been fighting on the front lines.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a clear roadmap for today. First up, the fake news crisis. Number 2, reinventing the newsroom. Third, a digital-first future. And finally, number 4, protecting yourself, where I'll give you some real, practical tools to spot these scams so you don't get caught in the trap.
Let's kick things off with part 1, the fake news crisis. For months now, BT has been locked in this fierce, coordinated battle to protect everyday Danish citizens.
Here's exactly how these scammers are operating. Basically, they're circulating articles on Facebook and Instagram that look absolutely identical to real Beatrice content. I mean, the design is spot on, but the content, it's entirely fabricated. They make up these fake interviews with super visible public figures, like the popular TV host Tina Muller or the prominent politician Stephanie Loza. The articles claim these celebrities have made absolute fortunes using some secret hidden investment platform. The whole goal is to get you, the reader, to click a link, deposit your hard-earned cash into a fraudulent scheme, and then poof, the scammers vanish. It actually got so out of hand that Tina Muller had to issue this hilarious public response just to confirm that she is, in fact, very much alive, definitely not on the run from the authorities, and that the interview literally never happened.
And this brilliantly illustrates the threat. When you see these articles popping up on your social media feed, the images look totally real, the font is spot on, the BT logo is right there staring at you. But the trap? The trap is in the address bar. The real BT website is super simple. It's just //bt.dk. But the fraudulent link the scammers are pushing, it's something completely bizarre like undertakingharmonious.info or bjaguar.com. They are entirely relying on the fact that you're probably scrolling too fast to even notice that the web address is a complete fabrication.
But here's the thing, the Danish media isn't just taking this lying down. In a truly unprecedented move, top editors from BT actually joined forces with other major broadcasters, TV2 and DR. Together, they filed a formal police report and co-signed this intense open letter directly challenging Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. They publicly accused the tech giant of failing to stop these fraudulent ads, saying that Meta is, quote, free riding on our media's and our hosts' credibility. It's an incredibly powerful pushback. They're drawing a massive line in the sand, basically saying they absolutely will not let scammers destroy the public trust they've spent decades building up.
Now that fierce defense of their brand makes a whole lot of sense when you look at what's going on internally. This brings us to part 2, reinventing the newsroom. Because in late 2024, BT underwent its most massive structural change in a generation.
You can see a really stark contrast in their operational strategy here. The old model was highly siloed. You had separate, distinct desks for politics, sports, crime, entertainment. The usual setup, right? Well, that structure is entirely gone now. In the new model, all editorial staff are grouped into one single central newsroom. Editor-in-Chief Simon Richard Nielsen made it very clear that this wasn't just some corporate cost-cutting measure, it's a total structural reinvention designed for dynamic resource allocation. Think about it, if a massive sports story breaks on a Sunday, this central hub can immediately redirect reporters to cover it. It's all about prioritizing lightning speed and ultimate flexibility. Well, that brings us to a really crucial number, 8. You might be wondering, with everyone thrown into one big room, how do they keep their expertise? Simple. They appointed 8 highly specialized editors. These folks don't just manage isolated teams anymore. Instead, they act almost like strategic guides. They ensure that this new, super flexible central newsroom is still covering the right stories with the depth and the authority you'd expect from an expert in the field. Let's move to part 3 and see how this builds. A digital-first future. Because this massive, agile newsroom wasn't just built for fun. It was built specifically to survive a purely digital, fast-paced media landscape.
Look at this timeline. For over a century, BT was a physical newspaper that you literally pick up at a kiosk. But on December 31st, 2022, they printed their very last physical edition. They just cut the cord. By 2024, they were already rapidly expanding their digital footprint with totally new products like their Borgelic tabloid podcast. And now, eyeing 2026, their entire operational framework is built around mobile-first digital dominance. It's an unbelievably rapid, complete evolution from paper to a screen in your pocket.
And if you want to know if it's working, the scale of this digital transformation is staggering. Just look at this number, 550 million. That is the number of monthly page views bt.dk generates. By going all in on digital, they didn't shrink into obscurity. They've actually cemented their status as one of Denmark's absolute biggest digital media players. To put that into perspective, that's an absolutely massive footprint for the country's population.
From a pure business perspective, this digital success is the result of some very specific strategic positioning. BT is operating with a strict mobile-first philosophy because they're directly targeting the 25 to 40 age demographic, a group that gets their news almost entirely on their smartphones. And to really stand out in a crowded market, they've launched products like Borgelic tabloid, which translates to bourgeois tabloid, to sharpen a distinctly conservative liberal editorial stance. Now, just to be clear, in this explainer, we aren't taking any positions on their politics one way or the other. But it is an incredibly fascinating case study in how a media house crystallizes exactly who its audience is and then completely tailors both its delivery method and its editorial voice to capture that exact market.
So, what does all this mean for you? Let's shift gears to part 4, protecting yourself. Because while the major media companies are off fighting tech giants in court, you need a frontline defense on your own devices right now. So, the crucial point is this: you can absolutely protect yourself if you just follow these 3 simple, actionable steps. First up, always check the URL. Legitimate Danish media is going to use a .dk domain. If you see some weird, foreign-sounding web address, close the tab immediately. Second, be deeply skeptical of unbelievable promises. If an article is promising you easy money or it uses this urgent, greedy language, it is almost certainly a scam. And third, verify before you trust. If you aren't sure, use independent fact-checking platforms. In Denmark, you can hit up checked.dk, and internationally, resources like AP Fact Check or Snopes are fantastic for quickly exposing digital falsehoods.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the data behind how we actually process trust naturally. A study from the University of Southern Denmark found that young digitally native Danes actually maintain a really high level of trust in established national media. But why? Because they use reputation and consistency as mental shortcuts to spot fakes. They inherently know what a real news site feels like, how it reads, how it operates. The big takeaway here is this: trust your instincts. If a page feels visually off or the tone is totally out of character for a brand you know, your brain is probably picking up on a scam. Listen to that little voice in your head.
We are living in this incredibly fast-moving, mobile-first world where institutions are completely reinventing themselves at lightning speed, and scammers are using highly sophisticated digital illusions to take advantage of all that chaos. We've seen how BT is adapting to survive and protect its readers on the fly, but at the end of the day, the final defense mechanism is you. So I'm going to leave you with this question to really reflect on. In an era of such sophisticated digital illusions, how will you adapt your daily online habits to separate the truth from the trap? Stay vigilant out there, always double-check your sources, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.